here's an airplane. Look at this airplane. My name is Anne Raming. I'm the mother of Mica Jovanovic, who is just turned 5 years old. He has severe autism, was diagnosed 2 years ago, and is currently in full-time IBI therapy. And it was ridiculous. It was a year of pretty much being on antibiotics. Let's start with the gifts then. The gifts are that he's an incredibly warm and affectionate boy, what one would not expect from a child with autism, with a great sense of humor. He finds himself very funny, and he finds other people equally funny once he figures out what their jokes mean. He also has a ton of musical ability, which we're starting to explore. We knew that he was always quite musical when he was a baby. Even before he learned to speak, he would hum songs to get us to do certain things. So he would hum sleepy songs to go to bed and bath time songs to go to bath time. So we kind of had a sense that he loved music. And he's just started piano lessons 2 weeks ago, and his piano teacher now thinks that he has perfect pitch because we've been working on his solfege stuff with the iPad, and realizing that he's made the link between solfege and learning to play piano. So that's quite fun for him and fun for us to begin to explore. Of course, you know, assessments are... Disabilities. Well, obviously he's a child with severe autism, so the major disability that he has is communication, and in the areas of communication and social skills. We have a son who talks constantly but means very little to everyone else. He has what's called echolalia, and echolalia is a form or a way of using language where you just echo everything that you hear, including sounds, music, creaks, and then the words that you hear. So sometimes he'll be watching a video clip of his favorite Caillou, and he will hear the door knock, and then someone will open the door and say hello, and someone else will say hello, and their footsteps will move, and he will echo it actually exactly as he hears it, because that's something interesting to him. So he walks around talking all the time, but that's not what's called functional language. It means nothing to anyone else except him. It's just entertainment for himself. So we're working constantly on trying to develop his functional language, and we started out with a child who had no functional language. He was considered basically nonverbal 2 years ago, to someone who's constantly talking and asking for things, to the point where we're now at the point of trying to teach him what no means, because he often wants chocolate, juice, all of the things that you can imagine a normal kid at 5 years old wanting, but he wants them constantly. So that's one of his big challenges, is language. And then of course the other one is social skills. He simply doesn't understand what he's supposed to be doing in any environment, because it's all coming at him fast and furious, like most kids on the spectrum, whether they're severe or not, and tends to just shut down. So basically that's when the scripting kind of goes into overdrive. He shuts down, he sits in a corner, and he talks to himself. So we're teaching him slowly, you know, and he's very curious about what other kids do, which is good. We're motivated by that. But we're teaching him slowly how to act appropriate around other kids, and then hopefully at some point, you know, how to turn that into normal or, you know, typical behavior for himself, so that he doesn't need to have prompts and doesn't need to have cues from other people in order to engage in a social interaction. But it's a challenge. It's a big challenge for him. Yeah, yeah. And I do think that... Well, IBI therapy stands for Intensive Behavioral Intervention, and basically it's an intense form of what they call ABA therapy, which is Applied Behavioral Analysis. It simply is working one-on-one with a bunch of kids. So you're working one-on-one with them and taking every single task that a normal kid would spend, you know, a couple of hours learning to do. You take a couple of days or a couple of weeks, and you just focus on that single task. That's it. That's what IBI is. AIP has control over my hopes for him, my hopes are the same, I think, as most parents are for their kids. My hope is that he can live a life that makes him happy, that allows him to have dreams and to try and fulfill those dreams. You know, this was probably the most difficult part about the diagnosis for my husband and I, was trying to figure out how we were going to make sure that he would have those kinds of opportunities for himself. So we are very hopeful, both in terms of what's going on in science right now, but also in terms of our own efforts with his therapy, that he'll be able to have that kind of life. If he doesn't, then he's going to hunker down with us and we'll make sure that he has a happy life. So one way or another, I mean, I think our big focus is making sure he has a life that's fulfilling for him. I think that's what every parent wants for their kids. Want to try? Oh, let's make a drawing. Let's try. You're going to make pictures. How about orange? Should we use orange? Try orange. Oh, I love it. I love the orange color.